Cool.
Oh, no.
So yeah, for folks at home, there is a lot of people in the room right now for what is one of according to my scientific equations, 15 plus community meetings on the skate garden project in Hasbrook Park. And we'll have awesome design thanks to our friends at Hudson Valley Trailworks. Up on the screen shortly, we're just on 5 different devices trying to do that. As an elder millennial, this is literally my whole life, is trying to figure out how to log into one thing to get to the next thing. So hang tight. In the meantime, any input that we might have received in advance might get shared if Mayor Tim wants to share it. And yeah, we'll get going. But basically the agenda will be like looking at the design and asking questions and talking about it. And yeah, and this is like, you know, one of the next steps in getting closer to, you know, basically putting out like the request for proposals and going through that government process. And basically that means we're a lot closer than we've ever been to making this dream happen. There it is. Oh.
Yeah, it's under the desktop. All right. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Right. Sorry about that. It's not my strong suit here. Computers. This is awesome. There's so many people here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming here. And Alex and Tim and everybody in the town for continuing to kind of push forward in this long process. So yeah. We're Hudson Valley Trail Works. The town reached out to us when they got word that we have experience building stuff like this and have some stuff like this built at our house. We're local, so we're able to kind of get a more in-depth look at the location and kind of come up with what is actually possible and where to put it, and then try to figure out a plan to make it happen, really. So the first steps are really just meeting at the park a whole bunch, and here, let me get going here on this. So meeting at Hasbrook Park right here and trying to figure out where we can put where we can put something and what we have to work around, and you know, come up with a good location for it. There was a lot of talk of the location. We met there a whole bunch of times for sure. And there's so many things to consider, and kind of like the conversations went around and around, and we at one point or another, the skate park was probably in every part of this park in some form, and trying to come up with a good spot to put it. And it is tough because with a skate park, if you can't go down into the ground, you're limited to how high up you can build. So one of the appeals to the corner that it ended up landing in is that the road, the sides along the road already have like 4.5 to 5 foot elevation there. So you're kind of able to build up there without having to dig into the ground or have stuff coming out. So that was nice. And there's let me go ahead here. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with has the park right here in town, like right here. Yeah, there's this old shed that, with meeting with town maintenance department and the people that take care of the park, they seemed pretty excited if the shed wasn't there, because I think it just kind of accumulates stuff that ends up sitting in it for years, and just becomes a mess. So the plan, I guess, for the park as of now would be to put it in this corner where the shed is. So that would end up coming out, and it would create a real open footprint. This picture is not great. I wish it was a little bit showing the elevation of the hill here, but it is good to show this drainage, which is the other side of the park, which is kind of the edge that we have to work around the park can't go any further than that, because a lot of water comes from up the street when it rains really hard and floods into this manhole cover, and then the stones that are going down to the lower um, drain that's at the bottom of the hill. And that's, I go back to this one, you can see these lines in the grass that go from the basketball court to the skate park are a really elaborate drainage system that the town has put in recent years. I'm sure to mitigate a water collection problem that was happening here, because there's nowhere for the water to go. So fortunately for us, there is a really nice drainage system there already that we can tap into to be able to use that corner of the park, where otherwise drainage would have been a big issue in that location before the town took the time to put in this serious drainage system. So I guess the next slide is just design, kind of introducing the design. The footprint that it works in is 100 feet by 120 feet. The stone, the drainage here that's on this left side of the screen, the like kind of stone that comes down the hill, is one edge that we cannot go past. And then on the far end of the skate park, there is some bigger trees that are planted. Well, there's a memorial tree that's planted, but also you get into some pretty big trees. So that's kind of the footprint that we're working around. The other things to factor into the design was the things that are going to be built up kind of are on the edge of the road sides, to kind of get the height of the park up on the edges that don't like affect the view into the field. So when you're looking at when you're looking from this angle into the skate park from the road, there couldn't be anything built up on the edges going to the field, just to kind of create that open feel into the field and not have a bunch of material and concrete kind of boxing in the field. So that was a factor in the design layout. I guess, yeah, for me, yeah, we can take some time to kind of break down the design. I can go in on SketchUp, but some thoughts, because I know this is a first draft essentially, and we're here to present it, to try to get the feedback of everyone in the community and try to, come up with something that, everybody is excited about. And there are some things that we're working around. So really the main ones are not protruding too much into the field on this edge, having to work between here, and trying to create a design that kind of has a lot of the aspects of skateboarding, like a bowl, some transition, some street obstacles and ledges and rails, and things that the kind of the center of the park here, like in this area, there was thought to coming up with a way that, younger kids on balance bikes can ride it like a pump track and kind of utilize the space in the way that they want to, and it's not confined to having to use it in like for example, a skate plaza specifically is designed to be skated in a kind of intended to be skated in a certain way, where we need to make sure that the design kind of is inclusive to everyone and every way that we want to use it. So the thought with this design is it kind of creates like an elbow of like like two lanes essentially, where you could be like skating these ledges, which would be a different speed essentially than some of the like more pumpy stuff within this area, and you can do that at the same time and not run into each other without having any crisscross lines that go between these two lanes. While if you're there and there's not a bunch of people there, you can ride this as one cohesive thing. And there is thought to the design and how you can ride this center here, but also come down here and kind of hit this and come back and open it up as one big footprint when it's available, basically. But sometimes skate parks are really busy and you have to be able to come up with a way to accommodate for all of that, and not feel like there are some skate park designs that it's a huge skate park, but there's no telling where the person that's riding it at the moment is going to go, because they have options in every direction. So when you get multiple people out there, there's a lot of chances for collision and uncertainty. And with different age groups riding it, it makes it, a big factor. So yeah, I guess the bowl, there was a lot of talk of trying to keep the bowl open in a way that you could flow in and out of it into the street course. And we felt like we had a lot of really cool ideas and thoughts for like designs of how that would work, that would make it really fun, because there was talk of wanting to have a way to ride the skate park around in a circle, almost as a pump track. So if you're on a bike, you can just go completely around the skate park in a loop, essentially, and like figure it out, which in theory sounds good. But if you have any kind of like bowl type transition where you're going to have someone riding it in a way that is intended kind of to be contained into one area, so it's a little bit, when you start to have inlets for people to wander in as they're riding other parts of the skate park, and all of a sudden they find themselves in this area of the park that's kind of being ridden in a tighter, more condensed area. It just created kind of a conversation of safety, and felt like we could come up with a design that could continue, I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the design. I'm gonna pull up SketchUp and kind of be able to pan around and give a little bit more of a I guess I could do that now before I go any deeper with the other aspects. All right, so this is kind of cool with this program because I can really like look around and show you guys like some of the features. And this, again, this is like a rough 3D version. It's going to look a little bit different than this when we actually build it. It's more just to represent, sorry, I'm not like great with this 3D pan. Represent the features that we want to try to make sure that the skate park has. And yeah, I guess a bowl was one of the things, kind of a pump tracky area, that smaller transition that like younger age groups will be able to ride. And then, we're all skateboarders and bike riders, and like just trying to think of all the features at skate parks that we'd want to skate and ride and how we would want to do that, and trying to kind of put all of them in here and like kind of have everything really, from like a vert wall to a hubba ledge to like pump track rollers. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to hear some questions and thoughts, and really just feedback for after seeing this, I guess now at this point. It's I've been working on this for a while, so it's nice that this whole meeting was kind of to get it out into the public to have a really good starting point for conversation, because up till this point, it's conversations about having a skate park and how to make that happen and the complexities of that, and a lot of different iterations of designs and like, yeah, it's hard because with the skate park, you kind of can go in any direction. So the imagination is endless. So I was hoping to kind of design something that would hit some of the marks. And now that we're here, yeah, I'd love to hear.
Yeah. This is like so exciting because like it's awesome seeing like those marks from like, you know, first meeting back in like, it was like days before COVID. So February 3rd, 2020, we had a meeting on campus with a packed room as well. And, you know, I've really been keeping like the checklist of things that came out of that meeting, like to heart this whole time. And like, just this, I'm getting goosebumps now. This design seems to really check off a lot of points. But that said, let's start asking questions. You know, I know how I feel about this. It hits like points that community members have pointed out thus far, but let's keep, you know, going. You know, anything you want to know, or zoom in on. We have our experts here. And no need to like raise hands or anything, because I'm done with my work day. I'm not going to call on anyone, but we'll, you know, take turns.
So I remember years ago, I saw like a rough design. I had a buddy, he had a picture of it. He might have been at one of these meetings. I don't know how often you guys have done this, but I did see the original snake run, you know, that you were talking about around the outer edge of the park. And I gotta say, like, at first it was a good idea. I thought that would be great to just have it wrap around and kind of have it. But now that, you know, talking about collisions and all that stuff, like, I gotta say, like, when you make something more flowy, you know, it's just inevitable. You're gonna have people crossing in your way. You're gonna have people flying through as you're like heading a back and forth, you know, like the half pipe.
Yeah.
You know, so like seeing this the way it is now versus what I saw before, I gotta say, I like it. I like it. I like the closed
thank
all
you.
sections, you know, like
Yeah.
having an area for everyone to kind of hit, they want to hit and
Yeah.
not be interrupted. If that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, and hopes that you can really ride this as one huge thing when it's open to that, and there are the, you know, the right people there at the right time, whether it be early morning or whatever you got to do to be able to just jump from the bowl to the rest of the park and in and out. And oh, I know I'll be in designing this. There's a million thoughts of how to use it. So yeah, thank you.
Can we zoom out? And then may I approach the screen to point at things?
Of course, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Right. Oh man, I blocked on you. Okay, I like the concept you're saying, but like I don't see where is the beginner section. Like a beginner section is pretty flat, things are small. It's not at the landing point of someone trying to come down a hub or a handrail. Like there's one flat ledge and a flat rail in the middle of here. And like, yes, this section is image, but like that's where anyone coming off of this hip is gonna be at. Like that's the proof point. There's no place where like the kids can be on the side or wherever, just going back and forth trying to, like right here, if there's not so much bowl, like this is, we have no bowls in New Falls. If we have any bowl, we're up, right? So
Yeah.
this back here where like the bowl comes up to there and it's protected by that, it transitions back. You can have a little, like a mani pad, a little teeny bank, something like that, where the kids can go back and forth, not at the feet of other people in the way.
I love it. I love it.
Also, the only bank tip is in a very odd place. I hit a pyramid that's not, I gotta snake around and find it. So I feel like I would have a lot of fun here. I don't see that everybody has fun
At the same time.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, I guess my thought was this like center area here is about like 2.5 to 3 feet tall. So I in my,
it doesn't have like another like there's no little mini where you can just go back and forth and home.
Totally.
Like, I hit that,
Yeah.
what's over there, or then I'm coming at this strange
Yeah.
thing, if I've never skated at this before, like, I
Yeah,
don't know how deep that is, but it's, even if it's 4 feet, that's gonna be imposing to a kid learning, especially if it's in a bowl,
yeah,
and they're seeing like, shred masters, if they're like, they're gonna be like, oh, I can't.
absolutely. No, I love the idea of that. Yeah,
Improvise into like a
yeah.
intermediate zone.
Agreed. Yeah, we can definitely shrink up the bowl and kind of, I love that idea. Thank you. It's like so great to hear. 100%, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would second that, just
Yeah.
watching Maple skate, like
Yeah.
if there's activity, she doesn't wanna be over
Yeah.
there, she wants to be somewhere she can just slosh around a little bit
Yeah,
and not feel like she's in the way. So, to that
Totally.
point, that was a good observation.
yeah. Yeah, that's great. I think this bowl, like seeing it in comparison to the rest of the footprint of the skate park now, like, yeah, there's definitely ways that we could shrink that up and kind of reconfigure it and redesign some aspects of it to open up more space for, yeah, because in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, kids can use it, but I also recognize that there's like windows when kids can use it. Like a kid isn't gonna show up there at 3 o'clock when all the like teenagers are getting out of high school and expect to like pump around the skate park in most skate parks. But I think with making a design that is thoughtful of that, we can, make a part of the park that, will be friendly to that at most times of the day. So, yeah.
I love that a
Awesome.
lot, because one idea that came up early on was like not even a design thing, but like, getting, community input on having like, a kids hour, like once a week or something, and really pushing that out to kind of address it. But I like the idea of addressing that better, like in the design itself, so that doesn't require.
Yeah. And of course,
Weird,
you're
like
still
Adult
gonna
Swim.
want that
Yeah.
because you don't want to be like, oh yeah, you can ride it, but you have to stay in this area. But skate parks are a little bit self-governed and
Mhm.
like Wild West in the sense that like you show up there with 20 kids on their like scooters, like they run the park, like because they're not watching, and like if their parents are there and they're like watching, like, like if you have your time, like I think that there should be a window where you are, hey, this is kids time, like, so yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully there is that as well, but yeah, I'll definitely adjust some stuff here.
Yeah, to the point of like kids time, one thing that I'm kind of concerned about too is just like obviously the space is very small. And it looks like this could get like congested really easily. And I'm a little worried about like run up and just like kind of being able to use like one obstacle or two obstacles. Especially in the street section. It's just kind of like it's nice that it all flows together, but I don't know, like not many people are gonna be able to like hit the hubba, then hit the little ledge, and then like it's, I think skating one obstacle at a time is nice for, at least for me. So I'm kind of like of the mind that less is more a little bit. It just looks like it's awesome, like trying to get as much stuff in together, but like it's nice to be able to like have space to really run up to an obstacle, get ready to pop your trick, and then like have enough space to roll away.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to roll away like into someone coming down the hubba,
Yeah.
just for example. So yeah, I don't know. It's awesome, but like I think having more space to like roll and have time to get prepared to do a trick is important, at least for me.
So yeah, I agree. And with a confined footprint, yeah, I completely agree with you. And in my head, I'm thinking like, how can I?
Sorry, like here, like there was just like a port. You have to have, like, more of a surface or a ledge, like it's a gap for fun, but like he's saying, like problem, all the East Coast, every spot, like, this is great, but you have to like run and jump on the kind of thing. And it's we hate that. We
Yeah,
don't want-
yeah.
That's what he said. We want to. It's a skate park.
Yeah.
Like it should be how we want it to be.
Mhm.
But anyway, that was my idea. Like that's just chop it out.
Totally. I in my head, I guess what I was saying, I was trying to get a lot in there as far as to try to hit the targets that I would expect people to want, like somebody wants the hub up, or someone wants the down legend, like, so, yeah, I guess I'd be having a confined area. I tried to put all those in, but I recognize the feeling of congestion and wanting that openness to, catch your breath before you're gonna hit the person coming at you. What do you think would be a good way to, and what would be something, because like here, the congestion happens when I try to kind of like stick a lot in there. Like I could see like taking out the roller in the like street area there on the flat bottom to kind of like
Yeah.
widen that. But like, what else? Like, what's something that you think that I could do or we could do as a community really to kind of,
I think this area could be like a lot, like, I'm not totally sure like about this part, and just having this area kind of be more like you hit the hip, like there's a lot of space to hit the hip, and like this space in here, like I don't know, this could be like like a nice manual plat or something, just like having more flat here. Because I think like especially now, like of the time, like street skating is like what most people want to do and like what people want to do. So
a
just,
little
like,
more
having more
open, like open design, a little more like,
yeah, and maybe like what I said before, like less is more, like having one really good long flat bar and like one
Mhm.
really good long ledge.
Yeah.
And like so like making
Yeah.
good obstacles over having not obviously not like a criticism, but like
No,
just
no,
having like
I
some really like
love it.
solid
Yeah.
obstacles rather than having like as many obstacles.
Right. No, I like just the like having one good ledge and one good flat bar is like really good feedback, because I know like in this design, there are like multiple heights of ledges here. And I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, I want to have like this one was like I took some measurements off of like P Rod's Park ledge. I'm like, I want to have that ledge. Like it looks like that's the one, right? But then I'm like, oh, but I want this ledge that's like 3 inches shorter so that like, because
Yeah.
this ledge is kind of high, and um so it's nice to hear that, because I can like open this up and kind of like take this whole thing out really and just put like a really nice ledge and flat bar here and kind of like simplify this corner a little bit and this part so that it doesn't have, it's not so busy where you're, I guess in my head, the busyness too is you're goofy and regular. So as you're coming down here, if you want to like do a crooked grind and you're regular footed, you're going to do this ledge. But if you're goofy footed, you're going to skate this ledge. So in my head, I'm trying to think of all of the things, which you're absolutely right. It ends up kind of making it busy, and yeah, I'll, it's great.
I
Great
do
feedback. Thank you.
appreciate though the consideration of the,
Yeah.
goofy versus not approaches. And then, but then to that end, want to make sure, we're also inclusive of, people who like do wheelchair skating and stuff, and making
Right.
sure there is that kind of room. So
Yeah.
that might mean, the less is more approach for
Yeah.
sure. So I don't know,
Yeah.
this conversation's awesome.
Yeah, it's like great for me too, because these are all like changes that I think the park can have without compromising how awesome it can be. So
What else?
You have to have a fence around the park?
oh yeah,
Can you get away with not having a fence?
I think that Tim had mentioned like a fence is um would be preferred, some kind of fence. Obviously, it's I don't know legality wise in the state of New York, if it's required. I don't think it is, yeah, because the town of Gardner is removing their fence around their skate park. So I don't know if legally it's required, but
It'd be nice if there was a fence not to have it be a chain link fence, or have it be, the fence over at the playground is pretty nice.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
that's
just-
one of the things we're thinking design wise, Eric touched on it a little bit, is it's intentionally like opening up
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
that's so
expansive
nice.
grass area. Like that's how these guys designed it.
Right.
So I feel like I've seen many skate parks that feel similar to this in terms of style and design that do not have fences. They're kind of like a part of the, like a city landscape. Like this feels like an extension
Yeah.
of an outdoor
Yeah,
city area.
it'd be
which
great if
It's
you had
not
a
like
fence.
like a swimming pool or a playground.
Right,
Kind of like a-
Yeah, continuation of the road in some sense.
And also a big part of why it's important to have this, fresh rec feature where it is going to be sited, is so that a family wants to go hang out in the playground and skate, and somebody else in the family wants to have a picnic and be able to watch them all at the same time, and one of the young folks who helped like bring this to my attention right when I got elected, she was very adamant about, she's like, I don't skate, all my friends do, I need to be able to watch. And like that's always been a big part of the design too. So definitely I'm anti fences. And like we did a bunch of research a bunch of years ago. This is not a swimming pool or anything like that,
Right, right. Yeah, I think the less it's cut off and isolated visually, as a sort of like an obstacle to the view lines and everything like that, the better.
Yeah.
And then like from an inclusion point of view, the less it's fenced is the better. I just don't know in terms of a skateboards flying off and hitting cars or people or whatever.
Yeah, I
That's a
think
separate issue, but-
sorry, I think my thoughts with fence of, I'm not psyched on fences either, but I could see the use of fencing on the sidewalks.
Yeah,
Like this edge over here, the park really, there's not a lot of like the dividing between,
right.
and really our grade of the skate park and height would be determined based off of kind of this sidewalk grade. So there is hazard there, and there's no separation between the two, or if you're just walking
Right.
down the street. And there may be ways that we can accommodate the design to create division, like even if it's just little like planters or something that are like skatable on the inside, but have some like
Mhm.
smaller plants that
Right,
like
right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Are the blue lines actually blue or is that a graphic?
it's really when I made the design, it like looked great, solid white, but then when I tried to put the concrete effect on it, it kind of started to blend the transitions and make them a little bit hard to see. So and it's not uncommon for skate parks to kind of have like a line painted along the like
Right.
corner points where there is no coping, or like along the coping. And it would be nice, maybe the like blue and orange New Paltz colors of the like university, or like whatever the town
I
wanted
have
for
to say,
colors.
just as a form, just looking at it abstractly, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just to
Appreciate
chime in on that, that painted line near the top edge of the coping or the change in plane on the ramp is also helpful when the lighting changes throughout the day, and it could be somewhat blinding at certain times. So having just something visually separating, the top, it's kind of like the painted yellow on stairs or things like that.
But Alan, I think what you were going to suggest, and I think this makes sense, if there was a section like along Mohawk Ave where we wanted to have a fence to protect the sidewalk from the park, I think using the same fence design that's
Yeah.
around the playground
Yeah.
would make sense. So like it all feels like
Yeah,
part of the
totally.
same
Yeah, you're very welcoming and
Yeah.
soft color and.
Nice.
Absolutely. Another like small thing is there are the swing sets that are located here, which have been in that park for a long time. And there's like some nostalgia in them, and I think we're gonna, we'll definitely be trying to preserve them and like remove them and try to relocate them
Yeah.
somewhere in the park so that they're still
That
a
was one
part
of my
of,
questions, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
ideally to put them where the old playground had been sited, that would be a
Right.
great spot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like amongst those trees and bushes that are there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
One last thing is that, the openness, I think that's such a key factor.
Yeah,
Because, I was thinking about it here, and again, if you don't have the fence, that's great, because it doesn't block it off, but then having it open to the park and having that spatially integrated into the experience of the skaters, but also everybody else who's around.
yeah,
They get to see the skaters, but they also, it doesn't, it just keeps the park as one whole thing.
yeah. Yeah, you start putting quarter pipes and things around this edge and you really get a real massive material between like the quarter pipe, but the backfill material on the back. We're gonna have a little bit of that here where it takes the corner here. We'll have to kind of backfill a little bit and create a little pocket there and grade it so the water isn't collect there and but yeah, it starts to make it feel like it's going to be filled with wild animals, so it doesn't have to feel like a cage,
Right.
There's going to be, skate parks. It's a place to like let out energy and, yeah, be free. So, yeah, like, I,
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna bring so much like life and energy and just this little like nucleus there. And it's gonna be real exciting to,
Yeah, it's definitely long overdue.
yeah.
yeah,
It's pretty exciting.
yeah. That's a,
We designated, the village designated, like by resolution, I think a couple years ago, the community foundation can receive any donations that people want to do. And so that's like one part of it. But I guess, figuring out like the, like exact projected dollar amount and stuff comes out of, uh, moving on to like a request for proposals, like process of, and then Tim might be able to respond better. Did that make sense? Kind of like there's like a little bit of a process, but there is like right now, like a place that if people want to donate, they can send it there. I just don't have a dollar amount off the top of my head, to say what the projected bit is. And then of course, always seeking out grants, if anyone wants to volunteer for that. And then trying to find as many parts to it that there could be ways in which the cost is less. Finding fill that we could, yeah.
yeah, that's a great question and a
Yeah.
conversation that obviously is like first and foremost, like you can't build it without the funds to do it. So a lot of times with these meetings too, there's all this hype and excitement around the conversations of the design and all these other like parts, but they're expensive to build. For good reason. I mean, this is a like quick breakdown that was just taken off of the Tony Hawk's like skate park project of like a loose kind of description of how skate parks are priced. So this one being 100 by 120 is 12,000 square feet. So a lot of times skate park companies will just come in and give you like a price per square foot, like loose thing. And it ranges, but if it were $55 per square foot, which is kind of like in the middle, that's over $600,000 for a skate park this size. Like, and because it's a public project, it's going to be open to bid, and there are skate park companies that come from all over the country to build skate parks everywhere. We have friends that are local here that have skate park building company, and they're traveling to everywhere to around the world to build skate parks. And this would kind of be based off of a company like that because it is a limited amount of people that have the skills to do it in a way that is like makes a good skate park. And towns recognize that through years of having like not experts in specifically skate park building bad skate parks. So a lot of times this is based off of having a company come in, they have to get equipment, they have to find the material for fill, they have to, buy everything for like full price, which is fine, they should, but being a local company, like for us, or like any local company, like for me, I feel like the ways that we can find the funding for this are through local businesses in the community that, there are like great companies that work with metal and coping type pipe and rebar that, are like members of this community, like big members of this community that, may see the benefit in donating some of that metal to lower the cost per square foot, or like the town has a collection of like fill from like projects that they've done throughout the year that they may want to get rid of that we can use to shape the earth before putting down the rebar and pouring the concrete, or the local concrete companies, getting them, wanting to be a part of the project and lowering the costs of their material and finding ways to make it some kind of I know the word donation may be a like trigger word because it makes with government projects, sometimes there's like a line there, but yeah, I'm sure there is a lot of ways that we can get members of the local community to help, while also knowing that the town of New Paltz does have a recreation tax for like building that happens within the town. There's a certain amount that has to go back towards recreation in the town. So anytime that there's big construction, whether it be like a building that is going up that has housing like 100 units or 50 units, like each one of those units would have to pay X amount towards a recreation tax that would go to projects like this for the community. And of course, grant money. And it's not 600,000 plus seems like a big number, but I think there are ways to get that number down and find the funding that that makes it digestible, because that to me is a lot of money, but yeah.
Have you spoken at all with anyone from Newburgh or like the Newburgh Park? Because like talking to a couple of guys down there, they were like, yeah, we were at it for like 5-10 years, like trying to get someone to come build this, and like they finally got it. And I don't know how they got the funding, but like it was like it's like a success story of like a community wanting a skate park. So I'm just wondering if you.
I haven't, no, and I would love to.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody that
Not
was
personally.
part of that? Yeah.
Not personally,
I
but-
I can find out. Yeah.
Yeah, the locals down there are like, yeah, we were trying so hard, and then finally like someone bit and like they got to get the park. So.
Yeah, but their design is not the best.
It's not.
It's an example of like, oh, we got it, but oh man.
Yeah.
Like Socrates has had a cement park for a while, and I think last year they did new additions, so someone's active on it right now.
Yeah.
They'd be good to talk to. They similar, like they built it, they thought it was cool, but all the transitions were too big, too deep, and like you had to have like, you've been skating bowls for years to get around like the bowl they had there. It was like really friggin' a lot of pumping, and then it's fun, but like almost no one would be there anytime I went because it's too hard a thing to skate for like a younger kid. So,
Uh-huh.
but again, someone's doing stuff now, and I hear
Yeah.
it's better. So like again, they probably have insight and stuff.
Yeah, and that skate park, I mean, we're so thankful that that's here because it's like
Yeah.
one of the only ones like local enough that we can, go and enjoy. So, and they like advocated big time to get that skate park built, and it took years and like so many like skaters in the community advocating and raising funds, and yeah, it was like big. So It's nice to see that sometimes with skate parks, they get built and then that's it. And it's nice to see they're adding on to it and like, painting it and, like watering this beautiful flower. Yeah. Yeah.
Mind telling me your name and the name of, is it your company that is doing this or just you?
Yeah, our company, and like, just like asking advice from all of our like peers in the community as well. I'm Eric Hennessy. Yeah, and I'm part of Hudson Valley Trail Works. We're just like a local, family business, in the community. We build like bike trails and hiking trails and, you know, pump tracks, like concrete pump tracks and stuff. Yeah, we have a website.
I just need information from Hudson or Hudson Valley one.
Oh, okay,
I was taking photographs in case you didn't.
great. I didn't. Yeah, hey, I'm nervous, so I'm like, tunnel vision. Thank you.
Yeah, on that funding question, I'll definitely circle back with folks I had like emailed a long time ago in Newburgh, to follow up on that question. With the Middletown one, for a little while, my day job, the legislature had an office right next to that one. So I got to know it quite well on my lunch breaks. And that one was like interesting because part of the funding for that was from that coveted downtown revitalization initiative grant, that like all municipalities compete for. So, I thought that was interesting. It seems like a lot of these skate parks tend to be like a combination of all the different sources though. And I think you summarized it really well, like in kind, community people coming forward and being like, I'm a cement person and I want to help, community members helping raise funds and then looking for government funds too.
Yeah, I think it's been 4 years, or it's been dragging on, and it's like, I'm getting frustrated. I'm like, how can we get this
Yeah.
thing, like, the funds really, or like, do a GoFundMe, or start doing something to even like move forward, like take a step forward, because we've had different times. Years are burning up.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Clint and I we grew up in, like Massachusetts area, and the Boston skate park for us, I remember seeing these like 3D conceptual designs when we were like kids, like, and we were just like so into like BMX and skateboarding, and we're like, this Boston skate park is gonna be sweet. In like 20 years, probably. It was like just like a laughable amount of time. And actually it's there now and it's awesome. And it's great that they did it and they were working at it that whole time. So, there are like stories of it taking like horrible amounts of time.
Let's
But
not take that.
that's, I'm gonna be unable to use it by the time it gets built.
clear like steps to
mean, there could be is there a vision of like projects that are happening in New Paltz that would put money into this recreation tax, and what kind of finances are available from that tax for this project?
Yeah,
Because I'm sure there's other projects also that money.
There's a bunch of new apartment buildings.
That's great. That's great. And is that money available to be allocated to this already?
Or collect the money.
Yeah, right, before you go.
Yeah. And boards.
Of those proposals, and then they'll divvy it up accordingly, how they see or vote on. So what kind of
The fact
timeline
that
is,
there is development going on makes a lot of this.
that's great.
Yeah.
And what is that, if I could ask, what is that sort of timeline? These projects are a year out, 5 years out?
Less than that.
Great.
Yeah, but to that point too, there's definitely been some amazing folks in the community that have created like, a fundraising subcommittee, because like I can't just go out there and like fundraise for this, which is frustrating. It directly in that way, which is why we had to designate, a conduit. So that's set in place. And I think the volunteers that had been working on what they envision as more of like a capital fundraising project, I'm of the mind, why wait? So if I'm hearing, some energy, once again, to, a GoFundMe was what was a bunch of kids had in 2019. I saw that and they came to a meeting and I was like, let's do it, and that's where it all started. And that was how we were able to like even kickstart like all the looking into it, right? So there's definitely that's a role community members can totally play, is getting in on that right away. I can get you the language from the resolution.
And is there any money left from that fundraising?
No, I went to getting like designs. Yeah. I don't think so.
For, fundraising, it would definitely be helpful to know what the town can allocate, like, can we get any commitment on that, or sense of what the town could put towards it, so that we know how much we need to fundraise?
So I think it's a little tough because like, the village hasn't even like, we can't like collect the rec fee on things that aren't yet being built, but we know like that whole process is there. So I don't know. What do you think, Tim? Like, I don't,
I have a very good sense, of a couple of the big apartment complexes that are being constructed.
okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
timeline makes sense to me too. So by summertime, we'll have a better sense of like, what those buckets will look like.
And there's currently no money available for it now.
Didn't we already,
I think there
Use
might be
it?
some money in the refuge fund, but tens of thousands.
Only have, is it one of those things where if it's spent on skate parks, might come from that account, or are there other?
We can
Actually,
raise
fine,
everyone's
that can be
taxes
used.
and build a skate park, absolutely. But so it's super interesting. So there's this state law, and it has to do with payment in lieu of parking. So the idea is that when you build a new house or an apartment, then that means there'll be more people in your community who will have demands on your recreational asset, right? So we can't charge payment in lieu of parkland if a commercial property is constructed, but we can based on state law for new living units, new residential units. So the way our local law works is you pay a certain amount per unit, and it's scaled depending on the size of the, like a McMansion, the fee is higher. A studio apartment, the fee is lower. But they're pretty significant amounts. They're like $2,500, $3,000 per unit for a small apartment.
So that when you're building the rec fee thing, some copper, right?
But
My question is, does it have to be that money? Like sometimes, a lot of times with legal things, this money is only for X, Y, Z. You cannot use it for that, even if we have enough. Like if it's for roads, I can't use it.
right,
for
so
skate
we
parks.
get.
Is there other funding other than this one? Like
We
account,
tax
whatever you call it.
property taxpayers, we can use the money for anything. We could raise people's taxes and put it towards something like that, but
Okay, so that way,
And-
there's tax money that can go to anything.
yeah,
Then where is it going? Like, there's a lot of, obviously, I don't, there's money.
buildings
If you
around.
say there's no money, that's a lot. There's money. It's just not getting used on
Yeah,
this.
you can do our budget. And
Oh,
see-
I mean,
I would say the easiest.
What's super unique about what's going on now, is that apartment complexes are being constructed.
And yeah, like, not the answer to your question.
Yeah, so like municipalities can, spend like certain parts of like the general fund, on any budget priorities. And like, for example, if New York State were to pass Medicare for all, that would take a whole time, like line out of what our budget has to go to year after year for us to we've been keeping taxes at stagnant in the village for a long time. So that's been pretty important because we're 73% renter community, 43% living in poverty. raising taxes is basically Tim saying, we're not gonna raise taxes to make this happen. But if Medicare for all gets passed, that'll take a whole line out of our budget for healthcare for staff, right? That could go to anything else. Other examples like, any of those dream ideas out there that are like policy goals on the state and federal level that, when you look through the municipal budget could like cut our responsibility in some ways, that would absolutely mean we could, have the municipality allocate more funds to this rec project.
Are you saying that the town lives but like paycheck to paycheck in terms of what it's doing, what you're saying?
100%.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that is the
it's
answer
on
to
the
my question,
paycheck.
that you use all the money, yes.
We
not
have,
having
we have
money.
like a fund balance, right? You have a certain amount of money put away for like. Generally, our fund balance is about 22% of total expenses per year.
And yeah, where the New York State Comptroller requires that. No, these are good questions. And
Use for things. Sometimes I can give it about something that money gets spent on and people prioritize and you make it count. But personally, you would say, I don't care about that. I would spend my money on this. It seems like it's been a lot of years. Really, the priority is just not this, in my opinion.
I mean-
couldn't disagree with you more. I feel like in the last several years, the amount of time and effort that we put towards trying to figure out this project has been pretty enormous.
yeah, I feel like it's my child,
I was 17 when I was
that I have to raise.
It didn't take much. It wasn't great, but we got it started, like we can at least get started.
Well, that's the thing is, we don't want to start a skate park. We want to build something that has longevity. We want to build a skate. We got a lot, my understanding is that we're trying to. do
Yeah.
Similar to like that would last.
I mean, this has potential to be a draw for the town. You're gonna bring in people because there's not that, this doesn't exist nearby.
Right,
Yeah,
it's
So
gonna
it's
draw a
gonna-
lot
it
of
is gonna
people to the
bring
community
business
and bring
in a way
business.
to businesses that are within the
That's also
system.
not how our local government works. We're not trying to create big laws for the
Right.
town because we don't run this government based on sales tax. The way that the sales tax is distributed within the county, we get less than funds, but where. there's
Yeah.
any first space for people to enjoy.
I mean, I agree with that too. I mean, there's not that much for kids that
That's all
are
it is.
older than the playground through high school. There's not that much for.
Yeah, well,
My
this is not,
kids
this
in
is
this
not
community.
economic development. This is just, we want to build.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I
An
mean,
important initiative for just completely, good reasons. It's not economic development.
yeah, that's even. That's great.
I mean, we 100% included in economic development grants and begged for money from New York State to build this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty follow argument for us.
We've been including this conceptually like in our annual like request to the state for that downtown revitalization fund. We're like, if you give us money, we're working on this third space. It's important, and we'll continue to do that. But definitely the resolution that we passed, designating the conduit, the community foundation. There's a skate garden project tab on the village website. And that is linked there. And there's also a timeline doc that I was updating at 3 a.m, maybe this morning. But like that's constantly being added to with all that info. So, I can't say, let's go raise some funds right now in that way, but I'll make sure everyone has any info that you need to kind of get going on that end.
Just raise the funds?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
just- Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Sorry,
saying.
When we,
Exactly.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
we could, and
Money could come from anywhere.
There's an account that this money can go into.
Yes, the
Yeah.
New Paltz Community Foundation.
groups so that they can raise money now.
So it was February 2021.
I can ask my neighbor to write a check. $10. And the money will go then to this kid. That's great.
Cool, that's cool.
So is there,
We arranged that years ago.
is there something official that can get handed out? Like somebody can print?
That would be awesome.
online
I could
and-
make something, we could make something that would, you know, speak for the skate park and try to get, like, advocate for the skate park in a way that would get people to wanna, you know, donate and
Those
have
numbers, like,
a
you're seeing them
way
creep
to,
up
yeah,
out there.
way to get it.
It'll just,
Like a successful approach to this, where if you have an area that has like bricks or any sort of wall you could put plaques on, people can like pay a certain amount of money to have their company or their family name printed on a plaque. And that's like all throughout the park.
I've
That's
seen,
where it's
yeah.
like,
They did that at Lenape. I wouldn't say that that worked very well. They did that actually in the old playground. I would say that.
No, not enough money to make it worth it.
No. So there have been people who have raised money years at this point. They have said that they need a design. That's why we've gone through this exercise. We have a beautiful picture to show. people. And then when you can attach the picture to a budget, then you can more formally make it.
So I guess so $600,000 is kind of what we're shooting for. So we have the design, put the design out there with the price tag. Start trying to raise money. It seems like the next step.
Yeah.
By anybody?
So we already, or what, does what have to be?
To start fundraising, we need a design.
That's
Does that
the problem.
design need to be
Right,
approved?
so what we've been doing for years at this point is like working with our. As well as our head of building council, they've been at both the meetings where we,
Yeah.
every inch of this park. We've done soil borings in the park and understand where the where the water tables are. All that, you know, there was actually a Verizon conduit in the corner of this park. We were told, don't even try to engage Verizon. So I called him, I knew who was an engineer who retired from Verizon, he put me in touch with the guy was out that week. The amount of like.
Yeah. I guess my question was, like, when does this design, like aesthetically, functionality get approved? Like, is it like if everyone in here says, yes, we love it, we could approve it?
That
or-
we can approve it.
Oh,
Yeah,
This meeting is like kind of.
I mean.
Yeah, approved. Yeah.
Those messages, I think, will really, resonate with potential donors that it is a new sort of skate park.
Yeah, I'll go back and be tweaking this design a little bit, but for the most part, I think that this meeting and this design and creating this dialogue around the whole thing is a big step in like then moving forward where along the way. And the reason I think that this process always takes so long is because you hit these blocks that do stall and make you have to reconsider and step back and, you know, take another direction. And I feel like this project has run into some of those, and that was why we're involved locally and having someone local that can get a more in-depth understanding of the area and, you know, jump over that hurdle and now move it forward. So this is exciting that we're all here and talking about this and that there is some kind of design that can be used to, you know, advocate. It's hard to advocate for something if you don't have that something to show the people. So,
I think keeping that as like concept of a skate park, and then it's gonna be getting tweaked as like, you know, we
Yeah.
come along, but like getting the initial step of fundraising, getting that like started like tomorrow.
I just emailed you some links.
Okay.
Well, just, I mean, just to be clear on that point, like we did a first design. This was the design that we were, you know, tasked to come up with. And then we wanted to get feedback from the community, right? And make tweaks to those designs. And that's where we're at now, is we'll go back and tweak these with your inputs that we heard from you tonight. And then we'll have a design that we can put, you know, a number to and begin fundraising. I mean, that's really that's the next step.
Yeah, I was gonna say, too, just like for going forward, like so far, this process has been going on through my college experience at New Paltz, and I'm a senior now, so it's kind of like, it's just felt a little loosey-goosey. And I don't know, like, is there any way that we can kind of like form some type of like actual group where it's like, you know, we're meeting, you know, once a month, twice a month to be like, okay, are we making any progress? Because I don't know, just like
Yeah, to get back to that
Yeah.
model, because throughout 2020, we met every month.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then 2021, then like did our best to keep up with it. 2022 finally made some headway with the topography issues that like we had no idea about, like really, or I had no idea about, like that they would be such issues. Like in that first meeting, it took in that time, this brand new green infrastructure project, thanks to former state senator Metzger. She didn't get reelected in 2020, so yeah, it has been a while. But that project, you know, once that got in, you know, after she left office, that actually made this whole idea possible in ways that I had no idea there was that barrier at the time, you know. So that was a big thing. The wire thing was like, that was the only update for a while. So like, that was like basically why we slowed down on the meetings. And I noticed the Slack that I made, because it's not a paid Slack, like it looks like there's nothing in there, but as soon as I get paid again, my stipend, I intend to, you know, donate that Slack and get it up and running so everyone can access the docs. The invite link should be live. I have to keep re-upping it sometimes on the Instagram and Facebook, but feel free to join the project Slack. I promise there will be past stuff from the past 4.5 years in there. And I'm down to get those monthly check-ins going again now that it's not just, yeah, well, we're waiting for this water drainage thing, or yeah, we have to figure out this thing with this weird old wire underground. Those were the only updates for a long time. Now I feel like we're at a point where I would be happy again to have monthly check-ins, so let's do it. Yeah.
Because I just think like this is a fairly small group that we have here, and like I know a lot of my friends at school are not here and who skateboard, and there's people elsewhere that would like really like to be involved, especially with the design, and just like I think a lot of people really care about this, and maybe I won't see this in my time here, but like hopefully this will be something that we can have really soon. I think everyone's anxious to have it soon.
Yeah, I think it's definitely closer than it might feel right now. I mean, I know it is, like, because now those barriers Tim and our department of public works superintendent Lou, like really heroically behind the scenes these past few years have worked through stuff. We're moving. Let's do it. Any other questions about the design while we have these guys here?
Love just some collaboration, maybe with some local. Just to-
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Mhm. Yeah, I think my like dream design of skate parks incorporates some kind of trees and plants in a way that is like just like beautifies it. And here, I think around the edges, we can have some kind of community garden, like around some of the obstacles on the outer edges. I would be awesome to have them more like internally, but what I always find at skate parks is those end up just being like where all the like Mountain Dew gets thrown and like old vapes and stuff, and nothing can like ever live there. And it's hard to keep the like beauty. Yeah, so, and I think with the final design, like taking that in mind, I can find a way to put some like plantings in to like beautify up the look and, kind of set that expectation like visually, so that when it does get built, there can be like a where'd the flowers go, you know, and having that in the design that we're presenting is gonna help to make that happen, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for
totally.
bringing that up. That would really help having that kind of drawn in for sure, because I forgot to mention the environmental policy board that I'm the liaison with. So we made the pollinator community garden right in front of Village Hall, you know, as a thing. And a couple of volunteers expressed interest, once this is done, would love to help, get the kids to help do some, yeah, we like getting dirty.
They work on the planet walks in the playground now.
Yeah, that's what I said, and yeah, we'll do it. I mean,
You know, the one that's.
yeah. But yeah, people are down. Any last thoughts before we go make dinner?
Yeah, thank you for sticking with it.
There's no.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and it's like, it's a good spot. And, there's a lot of, I know, so, like, get it to that stage where it's
The guy
like,
still in that dead tree that's there too.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So like, just getting a spot and nailing to the spot, I feel like that's like a huge accomplishment, so. Thank you, guys.
if you know anyone in the community that runs like a business that can help, like,
I know
A metal-
Gardner
metal
just got,
company,
they
like-
had a big grant that just got passed, it's like $200,000.
oh, yeah, 100,
Remember
yeah.
that? And they got
The town
Oh,
match.
Oh, the town matched it, so that's
Town
like,
match.
the town matched the $100,000, so it is.
200, but the town paying 100.
Okay.
And they,
There are
and they
grants.
have to come up with 75,000 cash and they can only do a max $25,000 income. We got the same.
And we're lucky to be going through this process while some of these bigger building projects are going on in the community that are gonna generate some money towards this rec tax. So, although a half a million plus project is a lot of money for a town to just be expected to like come up with, but you know, it is, exciting and promising, knowing that we're doing it during a time where there is development going on and, thankful.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited. Everyone, stay tuned.
Guys, thanks so much for being here and staying late.
Yeah. Sign and sheets went around. I don't know how far it went, but yeah, it will be.